Hi, my name's Mark. I'm Senior Staff Writer at Photoshop Creative, and today we're talking all about actions. I'm going to be creating a basic action for you, and we're going to be discussing when you might use an action and what for. But what are actions? You've probably seen them on the internet or in Photoshop Creative, and you might not be sure when to use them. But basically, an action is just a script. You can use an action for absolutely anything. All it is a set of commands telling Photoshop what to do. It's there as a shortcut, and it's there to speed up your workflow. Okay, so we have this picture of a cat, and we're just going to apply a retro filter over the top of this picture that we can use in any kind of picture at all, a bit like an Instagram filter. Now we're just going to use adjustment layers for this. If you go to the actions bar up here, you can create a new set, and we're going to call this retro action. Okay, and this is our set of actions, and you can store as many actions as you like in a set. And then down here you have the new action button, and we're going to call this, well, we'll call it action 1, just so we know what it is. Now the thing to remember with actions is that unless you're editing the same picture over and over again, you're going to have to input commands into Photoshop which are relevant to any picture at all. To explain what I mean, if you have a layer that's called layer 1 and you apply an effect to this layer 1, then the action won't work for a file that doesn't have a layer 1. You'll see as we go along, so we're just going to go up to the top and let's add a curves layer. Now, when creating a retro effect to your pictures, adjustment layers are absolutely fantastic because they can control the colour, they can control lighting, and they can really give a nice old effect. And curves are one of the best adjustment layers to use, really. If you want to give a vintage effect to your pictures, we're just going to up the red. We're going to up the green slightly. If you've never used the curves adjustment, it's simply just dragging points. As you can see, it's got a nice purpley tint to it now. The colour is a bit brighter. And finally, let's just the blue. As you can see, this is recorded on here. Okay, so that's our curves layer done. Let's make another nice adjustment. Now let's up the vibrance slightly. We won't go too far because it's quite bright as it is with those curves. So there you go, you have plus 20 vibrance on there. And now let's add some, let's add a fill layer. Let's go on there, solid colour. Now, let's go for a dark grey. Now we're going to set this to lighten. And as you can see, there are elements of the picture now which have been filled dark grey. Let's just reduce the opacity slightly. And if we just take a look at how our action's coming along, this set current layer there, that's where we just reduce the opacity. So there really is no limit to what you can do when you're creating an action. We're going to add a vignette now to this, just to finish off the retro effect. Now, if you want to add a vignette with brushes, your action isn't going to be able to recreate that onto another picture because the size is going to be different, the brush is going to be different, the colours might be different, and so it will just confuse the action. So what we're going to do to create this vignette is we're going to go to the bottom here and we're going to create a gradient fill layer. Okay, and you can see it now taking effect. Well, let's just foreground transparent. Let's just set this to black for your vignette. And that's okay. Now, if we're going to set this to radial, we're going to reverse the colours. And now let's up the scale slightly. so that this vignette is only appearing at the side slightly. Okay, that looks good. Now let's set this to soft light. And that looks great. Now that's our retro action completed. I'm going to stop there. And there we have it. Now we're going to test it on another picture just to see if it works. And this is the moment of truth. So we have this lovely picture of a road and the valley. And we're going to give this the retro action. All you do is you hit play. And as you can see, we've completely transformed the photo in a click. All the adjustments we made to the cat picture have now been applied to the valley. And one more trick for you here, when you're creating retro effects with actions, we're going to select all of these layers. We're going to group them at the bottom. Now let's reduce the opacity to half. And there we go. If we toggle, you can see that we've just applied this retro effect ever so lightly to the picture. And that's it. We're going to have this action stored for you on the file silo. Make sure to check the link below. And we'll see you again next time. Thank you very much for watching.